hit the go live button. And let's see if that works. Hey, it says it got a notification. That's off to a good start, right?
Does that mean I think we are?
I'm still waiting for it to actually show up on the thing, though. I'm waiting to see the...
See it on the channel?
Yeah. Do you guys see it?
Yeah. I see it.
Oh, you do?
Are we live?
I'm...
We
See,
do it?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I see it. We're live.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay, let me reload this page then, because it's definitely not showing that for me. It's saying, like, I got the notification, but I'm not seeing...
Yeah, it's 7 people are watching. What's up, dudes?
What the fuck? Do I have an incorrect live link or something? Why
It
is
just says the title is KRWBY Productions live stream, though.
Really? For me, it says KRWBY Talk ReZero Season 2 Episode 13. What the hell is going on? Why can't I see the chat?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
Question?
Maybe refresh?
Yeah, you guys might have to read out the chat to me, because it's definitely not showing for me.
Don't click the link. Just go to the channel on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Let me go. Do we have a new live link? Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
maybe.
There it is. Yeah. That is... Okay, that's definitely not our live link. Alright. Yeah, technical difficulties. Let me post a quick correction, I guess. Weird. Yeah, it just says KRWBY Productions live stream. Let me double check. Let me message Steven. Hey Steven, that isn't our normal live link. Is there a way you can change the stream name? Sorry guys. And then let me post let me grab, I guess, that link and post a correction. That's right. I never actually posted that we went live, so I can just change the link. Haha. So,
Yay.
All right, let me just post that. And yeah, so we may or may not get to change the stream title. I don't know what's happening. This is really, really strange. But yeah, okay, cool. I can close that out. And let me just kind of get situated here. Sorry, we've been having a bit of technical difficulties today. But while I'm, I guess, getting this going, how are you guys doing?
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay, I'm hungry.
Yeah. That's
have lunch?
Yeah, did you
Or dinner?
Did you have food?
I'm eating it right now.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Now I'm finished.
Excellent.
Num num. I had a delicious dish called aglio e olio.
Ah.
It's an Italian dish. I think I pronounced it right. It's pretty much what it is.
Sweet. Let's see.
Yay!
Oh,
Welcome to KRWBY behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. Oh,
it's the eating stream.
The eating stream.
The eating stream, yes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be. Look, it wouldn't be a KRWBY Talk podcast if it wasn't a mess.
Of course.
Okay, cool. Hopefully we'll get that stream name changed in a minute here.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so I guess we'll launch into it. Hi, what's up, guys? My name is Brian. I am the head of the audio department here at KRWBY Productions. and yeah, I voice Neptune in Ruby Aburged, and I do a handful of other things I do a handful of other things on the channel as well. So
Woo. Also, Brian, what do you want the title to be? I think
I already DM'd him.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. All right. And with me today, I have, say hello, Forrest. What's your name?
I'm on this podcast to talk about the animes and stuff.
Forrest, what is your name, Forrest?
That's a real tough one.
Forrest, I need you to do something very important for me. I need you to say hello. Otherwise, I'm a liar.
Otherwise, my old title card is not Hello.
Whoa, he said it.
He said it. Whoa, he said the thing. That's amazing. Also, thank you, Steven, for changing the title. This has been an interesting one.
Everybody say hi to Steven. Woo!
Yeah, Steven, MVP here.
Our savior.
Hey, Katie, who are you? What's your name?
My name is Katie, and I'm here to say that I love Rock Lee in a major way. I'm at KRWBY Productions. I do behind the scenes, and I really like to scream. What is up, peeps? I do voice act things. I do writing things. I do producer things. I do that here. It's great. I also have done podcast things like right now. What? I play Weiss on the show. I also play Penny. I play Sender. And I play Heckin' Velvet that one time. That was real neat. And I do other things on the internet too. But those things are not important right now. Right now, it's KRWBY time, and we're here to rock.
Hell yeah, KRWBY time.
KRWBY time.
Yeah, so as the name suggests, we're here to talk about ReZero Season 2, Episode 13. We're talking about the mid-season finale of ReZero, but we're not doing that quite yet because we have a segment that we need to go to first. A little warm-up segment before the main course. We have to talk about what are we watching?
What?
Very, very important. So I'm going to ask you guys that oh so important question. What have you guys been watching?
You know, I'll go first.
All right.
It's a really important show that needs to be talked about.
All right, I'm excited. Please enlighten us as to this show. Oh, I also wanted to say, in case you haven't noticed, Ian's not here today. So sorry.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rip Ian. I'm sure he'll be back next week. I'm hosting the stream. I'm bad at hosting streams, so go easy on me, as evidenced by the intense amount of technical difficulties we just had. So, okay, go ahead, Katie. What have you been watching?
All right, there's a show that I've been watching. I watch it every weekend with another friend, and it's one of those shows that I don't think I could watch alone because you get really mad at it because they're real dumb and stupid, but it's also just such a classic. It's called Maizuni Koku, everybody. It's an old school anime made by the incredible Rumiko Takahashi, who has created such classics as Inuyasha, Ranma One Half. There's a few others under her belt. She likes to make these really long rom-coms, like really long, and every episode it's very villain of the week, Inuyasha is, but Mizuni Koku is just what bullshit of the week. So it's kind of like a sitcom situation love story, like kind of like Full House, except, this shenanigans ensue between these two characters. And it's the epitome of anime characters don't talk to each other, but they like each other, but they keep not saying things, and it's 96 episodes long.
What?
And
there's no way. Anime
episodes.
Characters always talk to each other, Katie. What are you talking about?
I know, but Brian, listen, this anime is diverging from the path. It's the one anime that exists in the history of anime where the two anime characters that have a crush on each other just don't admit it to each other at all.
Wow.
I know.
That
Crazy.
Sounds really infuriating and not like any other anime that's ever been made.
And it's just so interesting that, okay, we're on episode 75, I think. And And not much has happened, yet so much has happened. And it's so infuriating every episode. You get even more like angry at these characters. But it's one of the things I will say that I do like about it is it's a show about adults. So there's like some adult problems that introduce themselves sometimes, and it's really nice and refreshing to watch a character about love interests that are adults living adult lives. Like Godai, our main boy's trying to get a job, and the tenant, the manager, is like trying to deal with feelings about her dead husband, and like trying to deal with like being a widow, and like there's a character that is afraid of dogs. And actually, funny enough, the character that's afraid of dogs, he's the only character in the show that has like a type of development that is genuinely interesting, that they really go in on. And I did not expect it, because he actually later in the show tries to face his fear of dogs and succeeds, and it's like, wow, I could have honestly watched this show instead. Like, it's kind of cool that this side character gets this whole fucking arc, while these other two are just walking in circles around each other being fucking idiots. But there's something so endearing about the shows that she writes that keeps you coming back, because she really creates these realistic situations, as frustrating as they are, that I will admit do rely heavily on people being dumbasses. But sometimes there's situations that are pretty relatable. And like, even though they're hyperbolic, it's still fun to watch these adults try to overcome them, even though you know at the end of the episode they won't overcome them. And it's so infuriating. But we're getting close to the end, which means maybe they'll hold hands. So, you know,
Whoa. So
yeah.
I know,
lewd. So
it's
lewd.
crazy. It's really crazy. I will tell you, if you watch this show, prepare to be gaslit though, because there's these three fucking characters that are the roommates, that are the other tenants in this place where Godai lives, and they are the worst people. They suck so much. They're evil. They're bullies, and they're mean. And every episode, their goal is just, how can we fuck over Godai? And it's so much, and it makes you so mad. And there's nothing about them that I like. They're so infuriating. Like, but what also sucks about those characters is that they're very realistic too. You know that there are people like this that exist, that just want to purposefully, because they're not going to do anything with their lives, they're going to try to bring you down to their level. And so they're just consistently bullying this boy that won't stand up for himself, and he just takes it and takes it, and it's so like infuriating, because you just want him to say, "Hey, get out of my room. Stop stealing my money. Stop." Oh my god. Like, the hijinks of this show, because it was written in, like, the '80s, like, this anime came out in the
Mhm.
'80s, '90s, like, some
If
of
you
the
couldn't tell
hijinks.
from the animation style.
No, definitely. It's really old school and pretty infuriating, but also just has this charm to it, because I'm a sucker for '80s style. Like, I'm a sucker for the aesthetics. I'm a sucker for a lot of the nostalgic old-timey feels, and the tropes, and the way that things play out. Like, it's fun to watch with a friend if you have a specific, like, desire to watch shows like that. And I guess it fills an itch for me. And I'm at the point where I'm just like, I'm too deep in. I have to finish it. Also, there's 3 OVAs, 2 movies, and a live action show, and that's too much. It's too much. I'm mad. That's Mason Ikoku. I'm done.
Hell yeah. No, like I remember I came in when you guys were like watching one episode, and I watched one episode of it with you guys, and it was awful, like the number of like instances where like they just wouldn't talk to each other and stuff. And I was like, oh no, like this is the whole show. And you guys were like, no, Brian, you don't understand, this is a good episode. Like, I was
It's
like,
usually worse.
oh my god.
Like, you caught the good episode where they actually sort of maybe talk to each other, but like, that's not saying much.
So excellent. But yeah, so Mason Ikoku, where can people find it?
Well, my dear boys, I actually have some of it on VHS. It's that old.
Oh my
Oh
god.
wow.
Yeah, I
So
know that
go
you
down to
can
your local Blockbuster, you
of
know, go get a
course, you can
VHS
probably
tape
find it
for it.
you can probably find it, online, like, you can probably order box sets, because I don't know, it's an ocean dub. It was done, like, in Canada. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know any legal places to watch it, so I can't recommend any places to watch it.
Gotcha.
That is the end of that sentence.
It's
I
that old.
watch a lot of anime, but I
Hell
do
yeah.
own legal copies that I do watch.
Gotcha. So, who do you want to have go next?
You, Brian. Do it.
Me? Okay.
Do it.
I can go next. So I literally just last night finished watching this little anime from last year called Dororo. And Dororo has been on my list, I think, since before it even came out. I was seeing the teasers for it, and I was like, oh man, this looks really cool. So, a little history about Dororo. Dororo is a manga from the 1960s.
Ooh, old school.
And there was even an anime adaptation of it made in 1969. And they just remade it in 2019 with like updated animation and art and everything, and they even made like a bunch of significant changes to the story. And it's real good. It's real good. It's a very like, okay, let me put it this way. How many of you guys have seen and liked Vinland Saga?
Oh, I loved Vinland Saga.
Finished it. It's real good.
If you liked Vinland Saga, there is a high probability you will like Dororo.
I have to be in a certain space to watch shows like Vinland Saga, though. I'm gonna be real.
No,
It's
that's
gotta be
understandable.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
an intense show.
Yeah, a little bit, but like rewarding. But you gotta prepare yourself.
So Dororo, I guess the story of Dororo takes place in what's known as the Muromachi period in Japan, which is the 1470s. So it's old. It's like a while back, just a little bit.
A little bit.
And it's basically like it's got all of the darkness and grit of Vinland Saga, but with some like folklore and some like mystical magical elements thrown in. So you've got two core characters, which you can see on the poster here. You've got Dororo, the kid, and you've got the older guy, Hyakimaru. And honestly, I feel like the show is more like a show about Hyakimaru than Dororo, so I find it interesting that the show is named Dororo and not Hyakimaru. But basically, here's the core premise. You've got this lord, this Japanese samurai lord, named Daigo. And he's ruling over his land, but his land is stricken with a bunch of misfortune. There's floods and landslides and droughts and all kinds of things that are basically, killing their, productivity, destroying their rice. And so his land is in dire straits. People are starving. It's not a good time. And so he decides that he is going to make a deal with some demons. And he basically goes to these demons and says, listen, I will give you anything you want, just so long as you make my land prosperous and you prop me up and make sure that I am basically unconquerable and that I continue to reach greater and greater heights as a lord. All very, selfish samurai lord stuff. And I mean, just to tell you how selfish this guy is, he's literally going and praying to these demons while his wife is in labor. So real cool guy.
It is,
And then
demon praying.
Yeah, so she gives birth to a child, and he literally comes in. He's like, my wife, you've done it. You have given me a child. And I'm like, cool. I'm really glad to see that this marriage is such a partnership. So basically, as he's praying to the demons, they accept his deal, and lightning comes down and strikes where like through their house, like right onto their newborn child. And when the smoke clears and whatnot, the child has no arms, no legs, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no skin. Like, it's lost a shit ton of stuff, but somehow miraculously it's alive. And they're like, wow, okay. And so he comes in, he's like, wow, yeah, that's not what a baby should look like. He's like, okay, go hand it to the midwife. We'll go drown that one in the river, and now, we'll get to work on a new one.
Okay.
And the wife is like, no, it's my child. We'll raise it. And he's like, nah, we're gonna have a new one. And so the midwife goes to drown it in the river, but can't bring herself to. And so instead, she puts it in a boat and just has it float down the river. Mm-hmm. And of course, this
classic
is this child is Hyakimaru. And so he runs into some the boat is found by some other people who decide to help the child, and just by pure luck he manages to come in contact with a guy who makes prosthetics for people who have lost limbs in battle and stuff. And so he basically starts to raise this kid. Apparently Hyakimaru has the ability to see, he doesn't have eyes, so he can't see normally, but he can see people's souls. So he can see the life force in stuff. So he can still, I guess, navigate to a certain extent with that. And he starts, just for protection, his adopted father starts teaching him how to fight and stuff. And one day they wind up in a battle with a demon, and Hyakimaru ends up killing this demon, and one of his legs grows back. And so at that point they realize, okay, so if he goes around killing demons, he can start to regain what was lost from him, what the demons took from him. And so he sets out on this adventure to go killing demons and try to regain his body. And there's and along the way he meets this kid Dororo, who kind of becomes his companion, and they adventure together to go and kill demons and help regain his lost body. I can't help but feel like maybe this was part of the inspiration for Full Metal Alchemist.
Who knows?
I have no idea if that's actually the case. But yeah, anyways, it's very, very dark, very gritty. There's a lot of supernatural stuff. There's some political intrigue in terms of what's happening between the different lords in Japan at the time. And there's some very serious moral questions that get posed later on in the series about, is Hyakimaru doing the right thing by going and regaining his lost body? Because as he's regaining his body, more and more catastrophes are befalling the land and the people of Daigo, and so people are suffering at the expense of him, getting back what was taken from him. And so yeah, there's a lot of moral questions that get posed that really make you start to think about, well, yes, these things were wrongly taken from him, but is it, since they were taken from him, is it really the right thing for him to be getting this stuff back when it's going to negatively affect this many people? So
see, this is why you don't pray to demons.
Yeah, this is just why don't
wife is pregnant,
get involved with demons. That's just
don't do it.
It's just a bad plan.
It's a bad plan.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's Dororo. You can watch it on Amazon Prime, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Okay, good time is a relative term. It's a time.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. Yes.
Dark time.
But yeah. So Forrest, did you bring anything to share with the class?
Well, I know we have a segment when I specifically don't bring things to share the class. I did kind of, even though I didn't send you a picture ahead of time.
Oh, well. Okay.
I know. I did part of my homework. I could talk about. I have been rewatching Stranger Things on
Oh,
Netflix.
yeah.
Good.
Which is this, if anyone does not know who doesn't know, everything super. It was super hyped a few, like, when it was coming out, but
Mhm.
it's that typical horror drama kind of kids out in the woods and there's monsters kind of thing, and stuff starts, small sleepy
Mhm.
town where nothing ever happens kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the latest season, I think season 3 is the last one that came out, which is what I'm on now, involves they're putting in a mall in the town, and so this is changing all of the dynamics of the small
Yeah.
sleepy town. And there's also, like, gross monsters. But yeah, I could
Yeah.
talk about Stranger Things. I feel like most people have probably already seen it.
Mhm.
Or if you haven't, just go watch it. It's good. It's not super scary.
Yeah, it's a good time. Stranger Things is really
It's
good.
Hell yeah.
it's really well acted. Like,
Oh, yeah.
normally I'm like, child actors aren't the greatest,
Mhm.
but I think this show does a really good job.
Yeah, these
And all the
child
are really
actors
good.
are pretty solid.
Pretty good,
Yeah.
yeah. Great cast.
Especially Elle. But so I could talk about that. However, there was a show that we talked about on the What Are They Watching segment a while ago, and admittedly, in a moment of weakness, I started watching it.
Oh.
I haven't finished it. It's it's the Rent-A-Girlfriend show.
Yes.
Welcome to the cold.
Yes.
Oh my
all
god.
right. Let me preface, you guys are absolutely right. It is trash. It is actual trash. It is
It's the
somehow
good,
not...
like, sugar injected into your veins trash, though.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god,
God.
so good, so yummy.
It's somehow really bad and also really good at the same time, and I'm not sure how they pulled that off.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's like half of my brain is going, okay, this is completely, this is like the anime equivalent of clickbait. This is specifically designed to appeal to your basest emotions, particularly as a guy. But, like, at the same time, some of these characters are, like, actually kind of realistic, and they have, like, realistic
See?
struggles, and they make good points. Like,
They make good points.
See, this is how harem anime gets you. Harem
my
anime gets you by being better than you expect it to be.
that
They
should
set
be,
a really low bar and then they vastly exceeded.
Mhm.
see, that ought to be the subtitle for this show. Like, better than it has any right to be.
See, the
There's a few
next
shows
thing,
like that.
see, you want to go down this rabbit hole, the next thing you need to watch is Quintessential Quintuplets.
Oh my
No,
god, yes.
no, this is as far down the rabbit hole as...
Join us. Join us.
No, join us in the rabbit hole, Forrest. We have cult hats.
Culture. You need to be cultured.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's good. It's surprisingly sophisticated. Like, there was some character who was talking about, like, like when life, sometimes, life just gets you down, and it just beats you into submission, and you don't know what to do, and you forget how to dream, and that's like, I'm just like, wow, I did not expect, like, god dang.
That was really deep for us to talk about a fucking harem anime.
Right?
And then there's just some anime girl in a bikini, and you're just like, I don't know how to square these things. Like,
I guess this is just my life now.
anyways, yes, I haven't finished it yet, but better than it has any right to be. That's the subtitle for that show. Rent-A-Girlfriend.
Excellent.
It's on
Excellent.
Crunchyroll.
Yes, definitely go watch Rent-A-Girlfriend if you haven't.
Absolutely.
So, I I didn't have any pictures prepared for that, so I apologize. But
No, I apologize, Brian.
I do have something else prepared because last week you didn't have a show to watch, and so we tried a little thing.
This is true.
We tried a little thing, and I figured we'd try it again. Last week,
Oh God.
when Forrest didn't
But
know,
I did my homework this time.
I know, but
I
look,
was good.
look, you didn't respond to me, so I prepared something else for you, and now you have to do it. You did your homework, but you didn't tell me that you did your homework, so now I'm giving you more work. So yeah, we did a little thing last week where, because Forrest didn't have anything to talk about, instead we showed him a picture of a random anime that he hasn't seen, and had him
Which is a lot of anime.
Yeah, because he doesn't watch nearly as much anime as we do. So we showed him a picture of an anime that he hasn't seen, and had him guess what that anime was about based on the picture.
Oh my God.
So I wanna try that again this time around. And I have one that you may or may not know of. If you do know this one, I have a backup. But
okay.
If you don't know it, I'm telling people in the chat right now, nobody say shit.
God. Please don't be what I think you might do.
All right. Forrest, can you see this the screen, Forrest?
I can
Okay.
see the stream.
Okay. Forrest, I want you to tell me what the plot of a little show called Madoka Magica is.
God, okay.
Oh no. Okay, I'm waiting on the picture.
Have you? First of all, do you know Madoka Magica? Have you heard about this show?
No. Oh no. No, I don't.
Have you heard of it at all?
I think Brian's mentioned it a few times.
All right, we'll go off then.
Do you remember anything about what I've said about this show?
Not really.
Okay, perfect.
I see a bunch of well, they're not quite chibi, but you know, bunch of anime girls. There's a cat or a cat squirrel thing?
Sure. Yeah.
A cat squirrel. That's definitely what that is. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So clearly this is magical girl something going on, right? We got like magical things happening. People fly around for no reason. There's lots of sparkles. There's a cat squirrel.
Yeah. What's the plot?
What's the plot, Forrest?
Plot. The plot of this show definitely involves that's a question. Well, we got four people.
Yeah.
They're 4 different colors. Something about elements in there, maybe.
So
fire, water.
So this is. Are you? So
Okay.
I mean, 4 different colors. So this is. Are you saying that this is maybe like Chibi Ruby? This is like Magical Girl Ruby.
I mean, Ruby is already kind of magical girl, but let's be honest. But no, this is probably like that to the extreme.
Okay,
I don't
so just
think
like
that they have I don't think every weapon in this show would also be a gun though. See, I feel like that's not a thing they would have borrowed from.
Okay, so you don't think there's guns?
No guns.
I don't think there's guns.
No guns.
Okay.
There are cat squirrels.
Yeah.
But no guns.
Describe the
squirrels, but no
show.
guns.
Come on,
Yes.
man. Tell us what they're up. Tell us what they're up to.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Okay. Well, clearly, cat squirrel is important. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like front and center there with our.
Okay.
I'm assuming our main protagonist, right? So clearly, this is like some sort of familiar to her, or maybe like her friend was turned into a cat squirrel.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
So this is Full Metal Alchemist, but magical girl style. Like Madoka and her friends have to go on an adventure to restore the body of their cat squirrel.
Yeah, is that what you're suggesting for us?
No,
We don't want to put words in your mouth. We're just trying to get some words out of you. I'm not hearing a plot yet, Forrest. What are these girls up to?
What is the plot? So let's see. So
Give us a guess.
Just give us a random guess.
Okay. So it's not that they have to transform cat squirrel is cat squirrel. Okay, cat squirrel.
Okay.
It's just a thing. Maybe it's like a spirit. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. It's like a spirit
Sure.
from another dimension
Okay.
or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
Okay.
And it
All
like,
right.
you know, they have to go on some sort of adventure. There's probably singing involved
Okay,
or
gotcha.
something.
So it's a magical girl idol anime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be. They're dressed for the occasion, right?
That's
Yeah,
fair.
definitely.
That's fair. Definitely.
Keep going,
and
keep going.
they gotta save the world from whatever forced cat squirrel into their dimension, which is probably some sort of anti-cat squirrel, so like a dog
Oh.
badger. I don't know.
Oh shit.
Okay, so let
An
me.
evil
Okay,
race of dog badgers.
okay. So the plot of Madoka Magica, according to you,
Yes.
is a group of magical girl idols
Yes.
who are working
Yes.
with a cat squirrel from an alternate dimension to
Yep.
go defeat dog badgers who are also from the same alternate dimension, and they're going to beat it with the power of music and also cat squirrels.
I mean,
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
that sounds a
That's
little
solid
bit
And
like
not
the plot of that
guns.
one.
Not
And
guns, no guns.
No guns.
Definitely not a single gun.
Not a single gun.
Not one.
I love
Alright.
this description of Madoka Magica.
Brian, why don't we tell him the real plot of Madoka Magica?
So I don't want to give
So now I'm
away.
assuming there were guns involved.
So I don't want to give away everything about Madoka Magica because I feel like part of what makes Madoka Magica great is
True.
like the twist that happens in it.
Yeah, true.
So
a twist.
uh,
Okay.
all I will say is that Madoka Magica is probably one of the most famous deconstructions of the magical girl genre ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And I see, I hesitate even to say this much, but I will say it. The show is not anything even close to what it appears to be at the beginning.
So there are guns. It's a super gritty, like, really dark, real world fantasy kind of thing. Something like that.
That would be. I mean, actually, I don't. It's been so long, I don't remember if there are guns in it.
I don't think there are any guns.
I don't think there are guns.
Okay.
I mean,
but
unless there's maybe like a stray like robber robbing a bank or something, and maybe there's like a gun there, but like the girls don't wield guns.
yeah.
All right. Well, I got that one right at least.
But yeah, it's
An
It's a
alternate
time.
dimension, you're not far off.
honestly,
Is
yeah.
cat squirrel important? That's my question.
Yeah,
Cat
very
squirrel is
related.
very important. Yeah, cat
Very.
squirrel's name
I'm
is
honestly
Cuban.
like, now that we've been talking about it, I'm kind of in the mood to rewatch it now, because
Mm-hmm.
like now that I'm remembering some of the themes and like some of the emotions I felt watching it, it's like it's an interesting catharsis seeing all this happen. It's a really interesting story about growing up and having to make hard decisions. And
Yeah, honestly, Forrest, the next anime that should this is a classic. The next anime that should be on your list after Rent a Girlfriend that isn't like that, like heroin straight into your veins, like is something like of real substance. It should be Madoka Magica.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Just forewarning, you'll probably hate it for the first few episodes. That's on purpose.
That's one of
Just-
those shows, huh?
Just you need to give it at least 3 episodes.
Hmm.
Is that how long it takes for the other shoe to drop? Is that
Pretty much,
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
So,
Well, all right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think we got through that segment.
I think we did.
But
Good
no
job.
dog badgers.
Yep,
Mm.
I love it. I love it. I never knew that Madoka Magica had dog badgers. I guess I'm gonna need to go rewatch it now.
Yeah, definitely.
You missed that part. That's
I did.
I'm still trying to convince
It's
Brian
hinted
to
at.
watch Death Note.
I will one day. I
Oh,
promise.
One day, this
I've
boy's
heard
gonna
of that
watch
one.
Death
That's a
Note.
good one too.
I also need to rewatch Madoka because
Yeah.
I won't lie. After
I want to rewatch it too.
after I watched it the first time, I swore I'd never watch it again because it just it left me in a state that no other anime has ever left me in before.
Yeah, it definitely finds a way, man. It's cathartic though. Some of the stuff that you
Hmm.
watch, it's like I think especially if I rewatched it as an adult, I'd probably have a
Hmm.
vastly different experience.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like because I watched Madoka when I was first getting into anime, so I
Mhm.
definitely feel like my reaction was probably amplified by that.
Yeah.
So I really want to go back and rewatch it and like, not be as I guess terrified of this show as I am.
But more embracing.
Yeah, more embracing it. And Shakir, yes, I have seen Recreators. I love Recreators. That's a great show. More
Great
people
show.
need to watch Recreators.
Hell yeah.
Um, all right, but yeah, I think it's time to get into the meat and potatoes, which is it's time to talk about that good ReZero.
Woo!
Hell
A different
yeah,
re-show.
different
This
re-show.
episode,
Yep.
these this show finds a way. Just when any other anime would drop off and be like,
Hmm.
"Now the quality's gonna go down. It's not gonna be as hype." Oh no, they find a way to make you hype and concerned and confused, and they give you more questions that you genuinely need the answer to. Like this show brings you back every week, wanting more.
It really, really does.
Does.
And like, so first and foremost, as always, spoilers for ReZero. We are talking about ReZero Season 2, Episode 13, The Sounds That Make You Want to Cry,
Hmm.
aka the mid-season finale. I took more notes on this episode than I have on any of the other episodes because so much important stuff happened and so many important things were said. And I very much agree with you, Katie. It was definitely a case of like, holy
Hmm.
crap. Like they're just
Hmm.
here comes ReZero hitting it out of the park again.
Hmm.
The last couple episodes have really just been zingers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess first and foremost, where we left off on the last episode, Satella showed up.
Yup.
Yep, she
Now
sure
have all the
did.
witches.
And Rosewall's like, "Can you say that again? Can you say Satella?" Sorry. Go watch ReZero Abridged by the Schmuck Squad.
God, it's so great.
It's really great. But yeah, so Satella shows up, and Echidna makes a comment where she says that Satella made it past a bunch of barriers to enter what Echidna calls the Castle of Dreams, which I think is the first time we've heard her refer to this place as that. We've always just referred to it as the Windows XP background.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like also known as it's.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? See, I never knew all this time.
Yeah, it's just the Windows XP background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Satella shows up, and Satella's like, "Subaru, I love you," and I'm like, "Oh, who would have thought?"
Who would have thunk?
Classic Satella.
Classic Satella. Satella. Subaru screams that he's had it with all the witches and will find a way to fix everything by himself. And Wrath calls him out and says that deciding you're the only one who needs to suffer is cowardly, and that twisted thinking makes you way more vile than any witch. And that comment sets the entire theme for the episode.
God.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy. And the kicker is when she caps it off by looking towards Satella and says, "And above all, it's really ungrateful to her." And so Subaru goes off saying it's unbelievable to think that he should be grateful to Satella. She's the one who gave him return by death. She's the reason for his suffering. And then Satella drops a bombshell saying that what she wants isn't for Subaru to love her. She wants him to love himself more.
God. The fucking
And
twist, the balls on this show.
right? So, and this is one of the amazing things about the writing in this show that unfortunately couldn't properly translate to English, because in the first episode where we see Satella show up, and after like Subaru comes out of the trial, right, and the whole land is like shrouded in darkness, like we keep hearing Satella say "aishiteru, aishiteru." It's basically saying "I love you," but then she swaps over to "aishite," and "aishite" was translated as "love me" because that was what was implied, but that's not actually what "aishite" means. "Aishite" is simply the command form. It's telling you to love something, but it doesn't specify what you're supposed to be loving. It was implied that it was supposed to be Satella, but
Right.
we find out later that that's not actually the case. So unfortunately, the way that Crunchyroll had it translated of her saying "love me, love me, love me" over and over again isn't really accurate, because what she was really saying all that time was "love yourself," but she just never specified that that's what he was supposed to be doing.
So it was more. It's like the imperative form of it. So just love, just a straight command.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's such a cool translation thing there. Like, oh my god, like the fucking balls on this show to turn it into this wholesome shit, and the way that like all of the witches have this interesting justification for the things they do. And like it's kind of like you were saying about harem anime earlier, about like, they make some good points though, and you're like, shit, like this seems like the one character there's no way we're gonna like her. How are you gonna make us like her? And they do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
like,
right.
Echidna was prepped to be number one waifu, and Echidna, like, even kind of, I mean, she's not, in the trash or anything, but she definitely, like, fell a little bit for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, and honestly, like, yeah, that was kind of, I think, the most amazing thing about what they were doing with Satella, was because they did such an incredible job of building up how terrifying Satella is supposed to be. We hear about her from season 1. Everybody's scared of her. She ate all the other witches. Like, she's supposed to be this all-powerful being. She brought Subaru to this world for reasons unknown, gave him this power of return by death. She's clearly ridiculously powerful. And then when we meet her after the trial for that first time, she is everything that we expected her to be. She is utterly terrifying. Somehow she winds up being even more terrifying than what we had in our heads. And then when we actually get the opportunity to sit down and talk with her, it destroys all of our preconceptions about what Satella is. It's just like, holy shit, show.
Yeah.
Well, they keep coming back to this notion of it is Satella's delusion that keeps Subaru like coming back to life. Like his return by death power is linked to her this delusion. We were thinking in previous episodes, right? Because she kept saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you." That's like her go-to phrase, and she starts out this episode saying it too. Right? That her delusion is that she found this boy across dimensions that she wants really badly to love her, and she pulled him into her world in order to do that, and that maybe she's bringing him back to life so that he can keep doing that or figure out how to do that, which is pretty delusional. But it's interesting now. How does that change with this new perspective on her wanting Subaru to love himself?
Right. Very.
Yeah,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, it just makes me wonder how that works. Like, are we seeing a less delusional version of Satella in the Microsoft Windows XP background, or sorry, the Castle of Dreams or whatever it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, or is this like the same version of her, and this is somehow still her delusion? See, I'm not really sure now if the version of the witches we see in the dream is. I mean, obviously the rest of the witches are dead, right? They were consumed by Satella, but Satella's, at least in certain iterations of the future, with summoned in some way by the witches cult, she's still definitely kicking.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this version of her in Dream like? Is it a less delusional version, perhaps?
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I feel like there's still a delusional aspect to her, but perhaps what that delusion isn't what we initially thought. Because if we continue on, right? So Subaru collapses, saying basically, why should I love myself? I'm a loser. Like if I'm able to use myself to protect others, why shouldn't I do that? um and he seems to think like, and that's kind of the heartbreaking thing that's kind of made revelation in this episode, right? Is he seems to think that his ability to use return by death to help others is the only worthwhile thing about his existence.
Mm-hmm.
uh and so he breaks down crying, saying he just doesn't want to lose anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see something that I wasn't quite expecting. Typhon walks over and tries to comfort him and, like, like rubs his head and stuff. And then with like this pure rage is like, who made you cry?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh God.
Like, who knew that these witches were so fucking into self-help?
Right?
Yeah.
Um
Write a book.
Like,
so
one theory I guess I have in terms of the delusion comment, and this theory comes, like, not with the most prep, but it's just something I've sort of thought about, is how when there's, like, figures that are propped up to be these big things, but in reality, if you actually meet them, they're just people, or they're just this, or,
right.
usually it's
Hmm.
all the fluff. I
Never
think
meet your
maybe.
heroes, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe what the delusion is referring to is, I think the Satella that we met in the witch realm is actually Satella. I do think that that is a representation of who she is, but I think that her delusion is when you're so far separated from humanity, or from people, that are, I guess how we'd say in the real world, that are below your tax bracket, or, like, so
Mhm.
below you, not that you're better than them, but, like, you just are genuinely disconnected from their reality.
Hmm.
You get these delusions of what certain things must be like, and so your intentions versus your actions kind of are at war. And so to her, it's kind of like she's created this little dollhouse where she genuinely thinks that by giving him this ability, and by doing all this must be what it means to, like, I can make him love himself. I'm going to control all of his shit. I'm going to be like, I'm going to bring him here by force against his will, no consent, all this stuff, but it's going to be better for him because I said that it will, because because these are the preconceptions that I have about how this should work. So I'm just gonna do it. So Subaru is kind of like a little plaything to him, and her definition of respect and actually helping someone is kind of stretched from reality. So I genuinely think that she thinks what she's doing is good, and that there
Hmm.
might actually be elements of what she's doing that might be a correct interpretation, but because, the way she's going about it, it's actually doing more damage. But then him kind of being able to take a different perspective of it, just like how life can do something to you, and life can be unforgiving, and life can put you in situations that aren't fair but do actually make you stronger. So it sucks.
when you have to acknowledge that. Like, that's kind of my theory there, is that I think she's just really disconnected from the reality of it, and that's what makes it a delusion for her.
Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I have thoughts on that I'll get to in a moment. I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
100% on board with that interpretation,
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah,
get
it's
to
just
why in a
a
minute.
floating idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um
I mean, I will just say I think it would certainly be in keeping, I think, with what we've seen from the other witches. Again, going back to Echidna's
mhm.
description uh, when she was introducing the witches, um, like she seems to imply that all of them were trying to do something good, that their
Mhm,
intentions were, genuine, but the way in which they went about that, people didn't like, or it didn't end up working out in their favor, or like their intentions were good, but their methodologies were maybe pretty awful.
Yeah.
because they're
And
disconnected from
so,
the reality of the people they think they're serving.
right. Well, and we still don't know entirely what these witches are. Are
Yeah,
they
yeah.
some sort of
Mhm.
humanoid kind of thing, or are they a
Are they a
more
spirit that's not ever been mortal?
right, right? And if that
Yeah.
were the case, if there's some sort of spirit that doesn't understand how the flesh and blood things work, it
Mhm.
might make sense how there's a bit of a disconnect there.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So uh Satella once again says that she loves Subaru, and she says that he gave her everything. Um Subaru then bites his tongue so he can't speak. Uh, and Wrath is furious, saying that I love Wrath, man. Like, I love this interpretation. She is furious, and she says that she won't allow, is like she gets wrathful, but it's because she won't allow self-harm or suicide in her presence.
Yeah.
Like, like
Such a
Don't you
self-helpful
dare!
God. These
uh,
fucking sins, because the greatest sin is to
hmm,
acknowledge that you're worthy of love. Got him.
goddamn. But yeah, so she tries to punch Subaru, but Typhon blocks her, and she's attacked by Sloth, who says that emotionally she's on Subaru's side.
Well,
Satella
Typhon
is,
does that arm falling off thing again to
mhm,
Wrath that we saw her do to Subaru earlier.
yeah, and Satella
That's
is,
just the thing she does.
yeah. So Satella is distraught and implores Subaru, and this is, I think, this is like the big, big like line in the whole episode where she basically says, "Why haven't you realized that you should be included among the list of people you want to save?"
Oof, oof, oof. Ugh, it's a good
Uh,
line.
It's
Yeah.
really good. And Wrath angrily fixes Subaru. She like punches him and hearts come out, and then his tongue is fixed.
God, that's such a I love this
Punches the love
interpretation of
into
the
him.
sins.
Right? um And then, yeah, this is kind of where it gets heartbreaking, is because Subaru lies on the ground momentarily and asks, "Can I really believe that the people I like also like me?"
Ugh.
And, like, speaking as somebody who also has social anxiety and also gets in my head about, like, oh God, like, am I bothering these people? I don't want to be a burden. Like, what if they hate me? Like, it's very real.
Ah,
It's a little close to home, yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
attacked.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it. Untag me.
Yeah. um
Oh my god.
so but Satella says that she'll allow it. You know, she'll allow him to believe that the people he likes also like him. And she says that he saved her. So it's her wish that he be saved as well. And that's where I think I have like differing thoughts from you, Katie, on what
Mhm.
Satella's delusion is, because I think that Satella is being genuine when she says that Subaru saved her. it's
Yeah.
not yet clear in what way.
Yeah.
But you know, there clearly he did something that had a profound effect on her.
Yeah, and they haven't explored that yet. But yeah, with my theory, it does also come with the belief that she genuinely believes what she's doing is good for him. So while he might have saved her, she might think she's saving him, but in actuality is going about it wrong. But I am in the
Well,
camp that she believes what she's doing is right. Like I
well,
don't think she's
see,
malicious at all.
here's the thing: is that I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the stuff with Rosewall makes me think otherwise because
I think Rosewall's
With
malicious.
Rosewall, that was.
no, I think that's exactly my point. Is that we're talking about having good intentions but going about things the wrong way.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if Satella is actually the only one on the list who's going about things the right way, and
Oh.
Subaru's the one that's going about things the wrong way. Because
Mm.
all Satella says is that she says it a little bit later, all her only wish is that he be saved. So she gave him return by death so that he wouldn't die, so that he could be saved.
He keeps dying.
And he keeps dying, and it's a lot of it. I mean, he's chosen to die on several occasions to restart and save other people. The fact that he dies so much, the fact that he's involved in the stuff with Rosewall, that's all on him. Nobody is forcing him to use return by death in the way that he is. And that's kind of what Satella's whole point is that you need to be included among the people that you want to save. You can't, like, you're suffering because you yourself are choosing to sacrifice so much. And so she is actually thinking about his feelings. She's saying, you should be thinking about this and that. Whereas Rosewall later on says, when doing something for other people, he's saying everything should be for Amelia, right? And even everything should be for Amelia, even if you have to go against what Amelia wants. Whereas Satella is over here basically saying, hey, you need to think about you too. You need to think about what you want as well. She is directly opposite to Rosewall.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a commentary on life of like he didn't ask to be brought to this place. He didn't ask for these powers. He didn't ask for any of this. So however he chooses to live his life, there's not necessarily a wrong or right way in that sense because he didn't ask for this responsibility. But as life happens, when you're going through life, the desire to connect with others and to make your life messier because you see it's worth it because you can have others in your life, that's kind of what it's a commentary on. Because yes, hypothetically, in a fucking saltine cracker world, if you just avoid human connection and contact, only focus on yourself, keeping yourself safe, don't worry about love or friendship or companionship or anything that doesn't have to do with you, then her giving him that power could be useful. But because he wants, but because it could be a commentary on, but what makes life worthwhile? What's the point of living unless it's to give to others and to be with others and to feel love and respect and like companionship. So I want to do whatever I can to do that. But then where's the balance? Because when do you have to start? When do you have to preserve versus when do you have to protect? And is there value in both? And what how much value in both? So it kind of could draw a cool parallel there because they're both coming from very opposite extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to, in order to
that's
talk
good.
about this more, I want to kind of rush through some of this other stuff here that happens. So Gluttony managed to stop Typhon from interfering, saying that Subaru made some pretty big boasts to her, so she wants to see if he'll be able to follow through on them. Echidna also puts the spotlight on Lust, saying that she was the one who came to him when he needed her during the trial. She responds that she didn't do anything major and says, I just think love is important, even if he doesn't want to see it. There is love there, and I can't stand to see it taken and not returned. And so basically, it's highlighted that all of the witches have their reasons, but all seem to be fond of Subaru and want to help him in some way.
Mhm.
And Echidna asks one last time if Subaru would be willing to enter a contract with her. Subaru politely declines, saying that sacrifice is a prerequisite for taking her hand and that he needs to stop sacrificing so much in order to love himself.
Mhm.
And he says, if I might have any value to them beyond my own death, I'm going to look for it. If I can find it, I have a feeling I can repay them in some way other than death. And Echidna respects his wishes of wanting to save both those around him and his heart, since after all, such a wish is greedy.
Well, yeah, she says it'll be
Mhm.
real hard. That's a tough
Mhm.
path to walk,
Mhm.
but it's kind of,
Mhm.
that's greedy. I like that.
Yeah. So Echidna then offers a piece of advice saying that Garfield is afraid of the outside world and that if Subaru is able to deal with this problem, then things will likely change. She offers this information as a form of meddling, but also because she doesn't want him thinking that only she was rotten to the very end. Subaru then says he could probably never like them, but thanks all the witches for caring for him, for being willing to let him die, for being willing to keep him from dying, and for letting him hear the precious voices he needed to hear. Then he approaches Satella. He says
Mhm.
he doesn't understand her. He doesn't understand her, but it's true that he's survived because of her. So he thanks her and says, though it will be hard, he'll try to rely a little less on return by death in an effort to like himself just a little bit more. And
That moment. Mm.
this is the part that I really, really wanted to talk about. Satella
Yes.
tells him not to fret alone, to fight alongside the people who care about him, and not forget that there are people who grieve when he dies. And that's why I feel like Satella is maybe the only one of the witches that's like almost entirely in the right in what she's doing. There's still no
Mhm.
explanation really for what prompted her to bring Subaru to this world. So,
Or what prompted her to make it to where he can't share this burden with others? Because if she
mhm,
tells him, "Don't suffer alone," she literally, I mean, they made it a huge plot point that he
right.
can't speak about it and that he's felt so alone because he couldn't share it with others.
Yeah, well,
That's a
that's
question they
Yeah.
one of
need to answer, yeah.
that was one of his first connections with Echidna, right? Because he was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I can
Yes,
talk to you about this, and you don't
exactly.
like get murdered or
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
creepy shadow hands don't
'Cause it
caress my
also
heart," you know?
kinda makes it to where, like, what the fuck? Like, aren't you pretty contradictory, Sutella? Because 'cause
Mhm.
you've actually murdered me when I tried to rely on others,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
we have to remember Satella is the witch of envy,
Mhm.
right? She's not the witch of greed, she's not the witch of lust, she's the witch of envy. So her whole character likely revolves around her being envious of things other people have that she doesn't.
No, yeah.
Right.
So I feel
I'm
like
not
that.
I'm not saying that I think that Echidna is sorry, not Echidna, that Satella is a saint here, but I do feel like her yeah, it's interesting because yeah, she's telling him not to suffer alone. Um, but yeah, as you said, she's kind of forced him to suffer alone for a little while. But then at the same time, though, once again, she hasn't forced him to be using return by death in the way that he has. I
Mhm,
don't think it was ever her assumption that he would
True.
use return by death this much. So
mhm,
without with the amount that he's been suffering, a lot of that has been by his choice. He could have left Rosewall's mansion anytime and just completely rid himself of all of that stuff. And it's, as we find out later, it's mainly been Rosewall's doing as to actually the majority of his suffering. So I don't think
Fair
that
bit of it.
I don't
but-
think that Satella ever I agree that like Satella hasn't always gone about things in the correct way, but it seems to me that it was never her intention that he use Return by Death the way that he has been using it.
Perhaps. I might argue the point simply in that, he gets pulled into this world, literally like walks out of the convenience store and all of a sudden he's in this other place, right? And
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, he has a couple missteps initially, but one of the first things he does in the first episode of the show is he runs into a girl who calls herself Satella.
Mhm.
That seems like a pretty big coincidence when we're now aware that it is the witch Satella who has pulled him into this world to begin with, right?
This is
So I don't know
true.
that it seems like an awfully big coincidence that that's the first like real person he meets, and that if that wasn't like if she just wanted him to like be happy in this new world and go off on like he didn't have to do any of this, right? He didn't have to try to, save Amelia. He didn't have to interact with Rosewald, go to the manor. None of it. He didn't have to fight a whale. None of this stuff had to happen. He could have just like, set up a little shop selling apples next to the other guy.
Yeah, but it also
Yeah.
brings the question of like, once you're given power, is it your responsibility to use it to help others? Like that's a common thing
mean-
that people struggle with. Not saying that that's necessarily something you have to do, but that is like a commentary that it could have of
Well,
once you have the ability to fight, should you fight?
Well, I definitely think that there is an argument to be made that, if you have power, then, you should use it
But you
for the
don't have
benefit of
to.
others. But
Yeah.
you don't necessarily, I mean, you're not obligated to, but I definitely think that, there's an argument to be made there. However, I think that the argument Satella is making is that just because you can doesn't mean that you go full selfless and completely toss yourself to the side and say nobody else, like I don't matter, everybody else matters. Like her argument, I don't think that her argument is, I mean, she is telling him to fight alongside his friends. She is saying, yes, fight for your friends, fight with your friends, but remember that you're important too. That was Satella's main message.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I think that
Just because you have this ability to
Mhm.
hurt yourself and it will benefit others, you don't always have to use it, even if you have the ability to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, man, Restarted is such a well-written show.
Yeah,
Brings up a lot
but
of thorny questions.
it really does. So,
Making me question my existence.
and then, to play on your point of, the first time that Subaru comes into the world, he meets a girl who calls herself Satella. So the Windows XP background starts to dissolve. And as he's
They're
returning
upgrading to Windows 10.
Yeah, it's about damn time. As he's returning back to the outside world, we see Satella's face, and she looks exactly like Amelia. And Satella then tells him that one day he will need to come and kill her, to which Subaru delivers his now trademark line, "I swear I'm going to save you."
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a really, I guess, interested in that, because the more this show goes on, the more and more convinced I am that Emilia did not lie in that first life. That Emilia is Satella, whether or not she knows it or not. I don't know exactly how that works yet, but it's just the fact that she introduced herself as Satella, the fact that she looks identical with Satella, the fact that they have the exact same voice, that they even have some of the same mannerisms. Like, it's just, it feels like, and also, of course, seeing basically Emilia turn into Satella when Subaru wasn't there for her. Like, it seems like she just has to be.
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty well established at this point that it is the witches cult is performing some sort of ritual, not to like cram Satella into Emilia, but to let her out, I guess.
Yeah. Like that Emilia is, that like Satella sleeps within Emilia somehow.
Yeah. Or simply, it may even be that Satella is simply a manifestation of, she is a different version of Emilia, who, like when bad stuff starts happening to her, that's like her fate. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the person that she becomes if if stuff doesn't go very well.
Yeah, like if she reaches rock bottom, like in that one episode where Roswell was like, I knew that she would, I guess, reach rock bottom if you weren't here, and if I made it snow and all this stuff. And then that episode where we had creepy Amelia, like maybe it's just like, a representation of what happens when she gets to that level.
Yeah.
Theories.
Yeah. So Subaru
So now
wakes
we get
up
to Rosewall, right?
Yeah, so Subaru well, there's one other thing first before that. Subaru wakes up outside to both Otto and Patarashu, worried about him. I don't actually know what the English pronunciation of Patarashu is. It's just I've never I don't watch the dub, so I'm just gonna keep using the Japanese pronunciation, and y'all can hate me for it. But apparently Patarashu dragged him out of the temple herself. Subaru realizes that the reason she did this was because she likes him. And he kind of like has this
another
moment.
waifu for the harem.
Yeah, he kind of has this moment. Yeah, everybody's favorite waifu, the waifu you always want, a ground dragon.
A ground dragon, yeah. Well, literally, Otto's like, "Hey, it's the same emotion whether it's a human or a ground dragon?" I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so clearly Otto likes him too, and so now he's able to see these things more clearly. He's now able to start realizing that, like, oh wait, these people actually do like me. However, it appears that Echidna has revoked his permission to undergo the trial. And that's when he decides to go talk to Rosewall. Oh boy.
Yep. If you thought Rosewall was crazy before,
Oh boy.
Patrache? Is that
Patricia?
Patrache? Is that how it's supposed to be said?
I don't know. I haven't watched the English version either.
Yeah. No. So yeah, Rosewall wants Subaru to do the exact opposite of what the witches just told him to do. Rosewall wants him to only care about Emilia, to only do things for the sake of Emilia, and have everyone else, including himself, come second. And to do this, Subaru must even disregard the wishes of Emilia herself. Which is like, interesting.
You gotta do what's best for the person, not what the person thinks is best for themselves. See,
yeah,
because you somehow know better than them about what they want or need.
Of course.
There's some dangerous language here.
Yeah. Well, that's only the half of it.
Yeah.
It's the next thing he says that was just like, oh, okay there.
Yeah, so Rosewall was also the one who sent assassins to the mansion. And he did this apparently to sharpen Subaru's resolve, or to perfect him. Rosewall is utterly insane.
Well,
Yep.
he keeps using the word perfect, and it's not. I don't like his use of that.
It's a very like Uchiha clan from Naruto kind of vibe, where like in order to get the Mangekyo Sharingan, you have to kill everyone that you love so that your eyes are clear.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of there's some I could make some Game of Thrones references with that too, but
No,
there's
for sure.
like
There's it's a thing that happens in a lot of media, but bottom
Mhm.
line that like in order to keep your eyes on the prize, you have to get rid of the distractions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
as far as Roswell is concerned, everything but Amelia is the distraction. So he's literally
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna put you in a situation where you can't save everybody. Like
Mhm.
Yup.
I'm gonna send assassins to my own house to go kill people that I told to be there, presumably, or that I knew were there, right? So that
Mhm.
you have to choose between saving them or saving Amelia.
Mhm.
Yup.
Like,
S-
what a dick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Subaru begs Roswell to call off the assassins. Yeah, you're right. Like he wants to deliberately force Subaru's hand into just choosing Amelia. He wants him to cast away his humanity.
Yeah.
So Subaru begs Roswell to cast off the assassins or to call off the assassins, as it won't do any good since Echidna revoked his right to undergo the trial. And Roswell is like, nah, I'm not gonna call off the assassins because I know how Echidna's mind works. You can
Mhm.
get the right to undergo the trial back. That's part of Echidna's greedy nature. Like, if you go to her and you're like, I'll do anything, give me the right to undergo the trial again, she'll do it.
Mhm.
She can't help it. She just
Yeah.
wants. Well,
Yeah.
he even says that not only am I not going to call off the assassins because you specifically told me to call them off, I'm going
Mhm.
like that's why I'm even more now. I'm even more committed to maybe I'll
I'm
send
gonna
more
assassinate
assassins.
them harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. He's like that tells me that I'm on the right track. That I really am pushing you to your limits here.
Yep.
I'm not gonna stop. Make me.
Yeah.
I'm insane. And then he like wipes his makeup off somehow. I
Yeah,
With
that was
magic.
like funny.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what that was a
Man, those
metaphor
makeup
for.
wipes though. I want what he's using. Cosplayer's dream.
I he's just like I guess like he takes the makeup off when he's serious. He's just like, all right, this
Mhm.
is serious Roswell time.
Serious Roswell time, no makeup allowed.
Yeah.
The fun and
So
games are over.
hmm so Subaru runs out in a panic, saying that he's human and he'll never be like Roswell. Which I'm over there going, that's the right attitude, Subaru. You stick with that attitude.
Yeah, I don't know that you want
Twist.
to be
Roswell is
perfected.
Subaru from the future.
Yeah.
God.
So
I
Subaru
mean,
runs off.
we already have this thing with like Amelia and Satella. It's not the craziest thing in the world to think that
Oh my
there's
god.
some
I
connection.
hate that you're right.
I don't think that that's true, but
No, but like if they tried to pull some shit like that, it wouldn't be the most outlandish thing they've done, probs.
yeah.
Yeah. So Subaru runs off toward the mansion, trips and falls, and starts screaming, "What do I do?" Um, and then Otto arrives, and Subaru immediately starts trying to put up a front, acting as if he's okay. And he claims he can't be bothered because he's busy. He's like, "Oh, listen, not now, Otto. Like, I gotta work some stuff out." And Otto is like, "Okay, all right. Listen, just go ahead, take a big breath, Subaru." And he's like, "Why?" He's just like, "Just do it. Just you see, I think you need to take a deep breath." He's like, "Okay, okay." He takes a deep breath, and Otto fucking decks him.
Yup.
Punches
And
the lights out.
Yeah, and like Subaru's like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And Otto's like, "You need to stop putting up a tough guy act around your friends." And that is where the season or the mid-season ends.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the last episode. It's to
Mhm.
me, I'll be real honest, my first it was kind of a weird spot to end it on.
I agree. It was a
Am
weird
I
spot to end it on, but
I mean,
at
I
this
kind of sorry.
I feel like
Go ahead.
it's probably going to be like first of all, this is the longest like arc that Subaru has had. Like the previous arcs have all been dealt with you know, usually within like 6 or so episodes, you know, in order for him to get to the next checkpoint.
Yeah.
But this one, you know, we've had a full 13 episodes, and I mean, his checkpoint has reset, but like he hasn't overcome the main obstacle. So,
I
I
mean,
feel
to be fair, Rosewell's like throwing the kitchen sink at him this time.
yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. So I feel like, you know, the fact that we haven't even gotten to the end of this arc yet, it kind of tells me that there probably wasn't really a good place to end it. Like, because
Yeah.
because they can't just end it with Subaru being like, telling Satella, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save you. Like, they have to set up the next, like, major obstacle that Subaru has to overcome so that you'll come back when it resumes in January.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I agree
Gotta
that I
keep you
did
on the
feel
edge
like
of your seat.
yeah, it did feel like kind of a slightly weird place to end it, but yeah, I don't know. At the same time, though, I don't know where the best place would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Gotcha.
after the thing with Rosewall, but yeah.
Yeah, but then, I mean, you don't want to leave it on such like a downer note like that, though. Where
No,
like
you
he's just
generally
going
don't.
insane, like, because they had to get as far as like him going and trying to deal with it, and then like having Otto show up to kind of reinforce what the witches had just said, where it's like, hey, Subaru, rely on your friends, my dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think the Otto had he's had an interesting like
mhm.
character progression here, right? Like he was
Yeah.
such a like, I don't want to say throwaway character, but he definitely was in the throwaway character bucket like when we first met him. And now
Mhm.
he's just like, I wouldn't say a central character, but he's definitely a
Mhm.
really important character.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because
for
he might
sure.
be, you know, he might be able to be there for Subaru in a way that he had, because he hasn't really had a whole lot of like just friends, just you
Yeah.
know, like there's always been like a caveat with everything, right? Like, okay, sure,
Mhm.
he and Rem had their times. She also murdered him several times, so
Yeah.
it's a little more complicated than that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm feeling good for the next season. I'm feeling like,
Yeah, I think even if the show could have ended at a better spot in it, I think it was a great episode. I think it sets up a lot that I'm excited for. There hasn't been an episode that hasn't given me some really good shit. Like it hasn't
Mhm.
ReZero just keeps hitting. Hits different, fam.
You
I'm ready for more. Gib.
know.
Yeah.
Gib more.
We gotta wait until January, though.
No.
I don't
Uh,
wanna.
but yeah,
Stop.
so my prediction, I guess, for the series going forward is that Subaru is going to rely on his friends, and that is going to be his that's going to be the tipping point in what allows, because he keeps trying to do everything himself, where like the whole
Yeah.
thing with Rosewell is like, I'm gonna have assassins attack the mansion because you can't be in two places at once. And I feel like what's gonna happen is Subaru's gonna be like, you're right, I can't be at two places at once, but I have friends that can take my place
Someone
Mhm.
so that I can
else
be
can
in two
take care
places
of
at once.
that.
Somebody else can
Yeah.
take care of the mansion while I'm taking care of Amelia, or vice versa.
Mhm.
I
Like,
mean,
little did Rosewell think that just like in the Promised Neverland, relying on others is your strength.
Power of friendship compels you.
Ah! The wholesome bullshit never ends.
my
God.
it makes some sense, honestly. Like Roswell doesn't
Mhm.
seem like he has friends, You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't seem like the friends having type.
No, not so much. Like, he's basically, like, he literally just told Subaru that, like, the only people he cares about are like, him and Ram. That's it. Like,
Mhm.
and previously, one would assume that Rem would have been included on that list. But, like, it's
Yeah.
really
Until she
interesting.
was no longer useful to him.
Until, well, and
Well,
he doesn't
also doesn't
remember
remember who
Oh,
she is.
her.
that's true. He also doesn't remember that she exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's very interesting that he doesn't include Amelia on that list.
Mhm.
He very much sees her as a means to an end. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
but honestly, like, yeah, this season has had its ups and downs for me. Like, there's been some stuff where I'm like, okay, I would honestly really love to have that explained. If you could, that would be awesome. Some of that just hasn't been explained, and so that's kind of disappointed me to a certain extent. But
Yeah.
there's so many other aspects of the show that have just blown me away with pretty much every single episode. And I honestly, like, after the first season, I was like, where's Subaru gonna go from here? Like, he's already, like, overcome his, like, selfish assholicness, right? Like, how do we, he's developed. Where do you develop him from here? And I don't know why. It seems like it makes so much sense to do it, but I don't know why it never occurred to me that, like, now that Subaru has learned to be more sensitive to others and care more about other people and not think about himself so much, that he would take that too far in the opposite direction and have to be pulled back to being like, hey, remember, you're important too.
A little selfishness goes a long way.
Yeah.
But you need a little of it.
Like, to take him from this place of, like, I am owed things and being this asshole. Like, it seems like he's always kind of thought of himself as worthless, but, like, we didn't, I guess, focus on that aspect of his character as much in the first season. So, yeah, I guess now addressing this, it's just like, yeah, I was kind of sitting there being like, Tape Nagatsuki, what are you gonna do? Like, you've already developed your character, and I'm like, oh shit, like, never mind. You continue to prove to be a better writer than me, I guess.
God.
Oh my god.
Well, hell yeah. I'm feeling
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think we did a podcast, guys. Do you guys have any other predictions for what's gonna come next?
Honestly, no. I think power of friendship, defeating the bad guys is the next he's gonna have to learn.
Yeah, I don't have any specific
Mhm.
predictions. I only have things that should, I guess, be obvious. Is that I think we're going to get more answers to questions that have been posed,
Mhm.
and I look forward to that.
Hell yeah. Well, then I guess that brings us to the end of this. But before we let everybody go, we got a little bit of housekeeping to do.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this was the last episode of or the mid-season last episode of ReZero, which means that there is no more ReZero to talk about until January. So there is nothing else to do a podcast on. So want to talk a little bit about what's coming next for the podcast. You would think that this would be the very last episode of the podcast until we start following our next show, but you'd be wrong. We have one more episode that we're gonna do. Maybe ReZero will be a part of it, but we've done things a little bit different this season. It used to be that the entire podcast was just like this book club type show, and where that was all we'd talk about. All we'd talk about was whatever the current show that we were following was, and nothing else. And this time around, we've added segments. We've talked about you know, we talk every week about stuff that we've been watching and giving recommendations, and I ranted about SAO, and so we did all this other stuff. And so as a result, we want to do one more episode that's just simply a summer anime recap, where we go back and talk about some of those shows that we've talked about in the What Are We Watching segment from this current summer, or from the now previous summer season, because I think some of our opinions when we initially recommended those shows have changed as those shows continued on. And so yeah, we wanted to kind of go back and talk about that stuff, give any final recommendations for any shows from the summer season that maybe you missed, that we really feel like it would be worth any of you guys going back and watching if you're interested.
Yeah.
And also maybe shows that you can avoid. Maybe you don't need to go back and watch them.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, that's what we're gonna be doing next week. I think I don't want to say who. I'm gonna try to bring on another special guest who watches a lot of anime.
Hell yeah.
So basically be sure to tune into that. So that's gonna be next week, and that's gonna be our final episode for the summer season KRWBY talk. Then we're gonna go on a 2-week hiatus. And then, following that 2-week hiatus, the very next thing we're going to be talking about is RWBY. It is RWBY time again, my dudes.
Yeah!
We're going to be following RWBY Volume 8. So I think we're going to be coming back. When are we going to be coming back? We'll be coming back, I think, November 2nd, the week before RWBY Volume 8 starts airing. And we'll be coming back to do our annual RWBY pre-show, where we'll go back over RWBY Volume 7, talk about our thoughts on Volume 7 as a whole, or maybe even some of the other stuff that's happened previously in RWBY, as well as talk about, you know, kind of what we're anticipating in RWBY Volume 8, and just have a whole big discussion. It should be a really, really good time. So yeah, that's basically the housekeeping stuff. One more episode of this current season where we're going to talk about just recapping a lot of the summer anime that we watched, and then go on a hiatus, and then after that we're diving straight into RWBY. So that's the
pre-show on
report.
the second, first episode on the 9th after RWBY drops. I believe it is the 8th, correct?
Yes, I think we might be moving the podcast time, so I don't want to give dates just yet.
Fair enough.
Not for next week's episode will still be at the same time, but RWBY we might be moving to a different day. We're still discussing that. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been fun. We'll see you once more before the hiatus next week, and then yeah, thank you guys. I guess we should say you can find me on the Twitter at Hubbard Audio. I'm also on Discord at Hubbard Audio. Forrest, where can they find you?
Right here next week, talking about some shows.
Cool. Katie, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Connie Day, KANIDAY official. That's where I do things, and then you can find us here. Yay! Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you.
One more thing.
Oh, you do?
One more thing.
Yeah. Everybody, go to the Something Witty Entertainment Facebook page and look at what they named their cats.
Yes,
It's
definitely
RWBY
go do
related.
that.
Go look at it.
Yes, do it. All right.
I'm
Thank you
doing
guys
it
so
right
much for
now.
tuning in. Bye.